children, today I am going to go to the Charter Act of 1833. Charter of 1833. Okay, what does it mean, children? It aimed at improving the situation in India. It also licensed the East India Company to remain in India for another 20 years. So what are its aspects of this act? Okay, the first one is the Governor General of Bengal was named as the Governor General of India. So the Governor General of Bengal was named as the Governor General of India. The Governor General was vested with powers to direct, control and supervise all trades in India. Governor General was vested with powers to direct, control and supervise all the trades in India. So the central government of Bengal had the final right to decide on issues like war, peace and diplomatic relationship with the princely states of India. So I will repeat once again. The central government of Bengal had the final right to decide on issues like war, peace and diplomatic relationship with the princely states in India. So the Governor General was mandated. Mandated means he was in official or he had a permission to put his differences of opinion with the executive committee members in writing whenever he differed the majority opinion. So whenever there was differences in the majority opinion, who had the right to do who had the permission? The Governor General had the permission or opinion with the executive committee members. So the act barred any discrimination based on religion, birth and skin color. So the Governor General was permitted to appoint a law professional as member to his executive committee. So all British companies were allowed to have trade relationship with India. And later on, the Charter Act of 1833 throws more light as the internal situation of India and also various political development which is present during 1830s. So later on, the British Government Act of 1858 to 1947, what does it tell us? The Sepoy Mutiny took place due to maladministration of the East India Company and against Indian Acts in 1857. Anti-Indian means against, okay. So the Sepoy Mutiny took place due to maladministration of the East India Company and against the Indian Act in 1857. As a result, the administration of India was handed over to the British Queen from the East India Company. So the administration was handed over to the British Queen of East India Company. So what happened? During this period, the Indian Government Act of 1858, 1861, 1892, 1909, 1919 and 1935 was implemented. So later on, it was the Indian Government Act of 1858. It's in the backdrop of civil and military unrest took place in 1857. India came under the direct rule of the British government. The Queen of England, who is that Victoria, Queen Victoria, announced that all-round development of India would be ensured by the British government on November 1st, 1858. So next I am going to go to the following important features of this act. Okay, what are the following features of this act? The license of the East India Company was cancelled and India was brought under the direct administration of the Queen. Second point, the post of Governor General was changed into Viceroy. Lord Canning became the first Viceroy of India. Third, a new post called Secretary of State for India was created in the British government. part of British cabinet and was responsible for the administration of India. Fourth, a Council of India was created in order to assist the secretary in the administration. Secretary and the council had 15 members. The next part I am going to go is Indian Council Act of 1861. The important act came into effect after 1857. With this act, Indians were allowed to participate in the process of creating laws. In order to understand the aspiration of Indian representation was given to Indians. This is called as policy of assertion. So what are the following aspects or features of this act? Indians were nominated to the Council of Viceroy as a non-official members. Viceroy was authorized to proclaim ordinances in case of emergency. The next part I am going to go in Indian Council Act of 1892. This act is the continuation of the Indian Council Act of 1861, and this act of 1892 extended the participation of Indians in the legislative bodies. And the important features: the number of additional members in the regional and central legislation bodies was increased. Second, the Legislative Council authority was increased further. Third, the Legislative authority increased further by allowing discussions on budget-related issues. Third, provision was made to question the government as public issues by serving 6 days notice in advance. I'll repeat this. The number of additional members in the regional and central legislative body was increased. Second, the Legislative Council authority was increased further by allowing discussion on budget-related issues. Third, provisions were made to question the government on public issues by serving 6 days notice in advance. So next I am going to go is to the Indian Council Act of 1909. Next I am going to Indian Council Act of 1909. This act is also called as, what it is called as? It is called as the Minto-Morley Reforms Act. Who are Minto-Morley Reforms? Minto-Morley Reforms are the two persons, okay? So during the formulation and implementation of this act, Lord Minto was the Viceroy of India and Lord Morley was the Secretary of State of India. I'll repeat once again. Lord Minto was the Viceroy of India and the Morley was the Secretary of State of India. This act was used to divide and rule India. So the important features of this act: the total number of central legislative members was increased from 16 to 60. The number of regional council members was also increased. Representation of regional council was allowed through election for the first time. So in order to provide separate representations for the Muslims, a separate electoral college was created. And what did the Government of India Act do in the Act of 1919? So since Indians took active part in the First World War, Lord Montagu was the Secretary of State for India, argued in favor of providing more representative to India in the matter of administration. He was in favor of allowing people to participate in the formation of government. Lord Chelmsford, who was the Viceroy there, declared various reformation measures to the British Parliament on 20th April 1917, and the Indian Council Act of 1990 was formulated by accepting the report, and this act is also called as Montagu-Chelmsford Reform Act. And what are the features of this act? Act formulated by Cameron legislative body, that is the lower house and the upper house. Diarchy was allowed at regional governments. Promised to improve local self-government. Provincial budgets were separated from central budget. Separate electoral college was extended for Muslims, Sikh, Anglo-Indians and Europeans. Next, Government of India Act of 1935. This act acted as the base of the formation of Indian Constitution. The report submitted in 1928 under the leadership of Motilal Nehru was instrumental in the formation of the act. So most of the provisions in Indian Constitution are based on this act, and the act allowed the formation of fully responsible government by Indians, and it was applicable for both Indian principal and British Indian regions also. What are the features of this act? A federal system of Indian principality, British governed regions and Dominion state was formed. Reserve Bank of India was established. Diarchy was established at the center. Diarchy was cancelled at the regional level and autonomy was granted, and the federal board was established. So at the end I want to say that one should understand the various political development that resulted in the formation of various acts that aided in the formation of Indian Constitution. So through this act serve the purpose of British interest. They also include the aspiration of Indians for self-governance. So this act should be understood as the result of struggle led by the Indians for self-rule. So this is the end of the lesson. Thank you children for watching the video.